morning and welcome to Trail Grazers, where we talk about great food for the trail and take you with us on our adventures when we were out in the field, on the trail, on the road, wherever we go to have fun. And we hope that we can keep this up for a long, long time because we're both pushing 80 and slowing down just a little bit. Jim and I have been out on the trail on four-wheelers and trailers and now are side-by-side for more than 20 years. And we've learned a lot. And as we are aging, I am noticing that that I am changing my mind about some things about how I want to be prepared for when we go out on the trail. You know, I used to love sitting around a campfire and cooking steaks on the grill and doing all of that stuff. I've gotten to the point where convenience and efficiency is more important to me than fancy food on the trail. I just want to be able to eat a good, healthy meal. People want very different things when they go camping, and so they pack accordingly, and that is just great. And I can compare, to give you an example, how I do it with how my sister Cindy does it. And we've just shared with you a camping trip with them, which is always delightful. We always have such a great time. Cindy is 10 years younger than I am, and 9 actually, but 10 is close enough. And she's in a different stage of life than we are. Now, I'm going to attach a video. I'm going to link a video at the end of this one that shows how they pack their trailer that also serves for emergency preparedness. She packs a lot of individual ingredients, and they can be self-sufficient for about 10 days the way that they do it. And it really is worth a watch because it's very incredible. Cindy is amazing. Cindy and John are both amazing in the way that they do emergency preparedness. Jim and I don't pack for an emergency 10 days in our trailer. We don't have a storage space like the way they do because our storage is taken up with blue. I have a few things. I have a few individual ingredients, but for the most part, I just take things that I do a meal plan, and then I pack the ingredients for those meals, and then we do have an emergency box that would take us an additional 3 days. But it's not from individual ingredients, it's from dried meals and that sort of thing that we can pack in just one bin and have an emergency stash for about 3 days. Recently, well, it's been several months over on Rose Red, I've been doing a Level Up Your Food Storage campaign to help people understand how you can do food storage in 3 different levels. Level 1 is the one that we're really focusing on these days, and that is having enough food with the integration of food in your freezer, in your refrigerator, and in your pantry for 60 days. And that involves thinking ahead and like for instance, when I make a supper, I don't, and with just Jim and me, it's so different cooking for 2 than it was cooking for 8. When my first husband and I had all 6 of our children at home. And so there's going to be among our viewers that entire spectrum. And so of course you have to shape it in order to fit your exact circumstances. But I don't cook a meal that is generally just for 2 people. I will do a full pan of lasagna. I'll do a full pan of green chili enchiladas and a whole batch of spaghetti. Because then what I do, going to the level 1 food storage, is I will package up the leftovers in meal-size packets and then freeze them. Now, you might be wondering, well, what about if the grid goes down and no electricity for your freezer? Well, we have that covered. With our Blue Eddies and our solar panels, we can run our freezers 24/7 as long as the sun is shining. And so we do have that backup there in place. And I wish that I could really communicate to you the convenience and the efficacy of having those meal packets in our freezer. I use them all the time because we rotate through things. I'll run out. If I look at the clock and, oh my gosh, supper's in 2 hours, I can just run out there and have a whole variety of things that I can pick, thaw, and then have for supper. What I am discovering is it works amazingly well for camping We are fortunate to have a freezer in our trailer. It's just the little refrigerator with the little freezer compartment on top. And it's about this big, but it's enough that it will hold a few things. And especially if I do meal packs. Well, I'm going to show you some of the meal packs that we could take camping so very easily. And it is from our level 1 food storage. And the thing of it is, I don't have to make a big production about things. I just cook as I normally do, but I make full-size batches. So right here we have, oh, this is corned beef and cabbage. Guess when we did this meal? For St. Patrick's Day several months ago. So here's the corned beef, here's the cabbage, the carrots, and the potatoes. And the batch that I made 3 extra meals. And this is the last of those extra meals, and they are really good. And so we've enjoyed having those. This is, whenever I do soups, I will also do, or something that is runny like stew and soup, I will freeze them flat like this, because then I can just stack them up like files in a drawer. And I have a little bin that I put these in standing up. And this is smoked pork and beans. And this was such a good recipe. I think that these are cannellini beans and ham and some tomato. And this is really, really good. So this would be great taking camping. Get it out in the morning when we leave on Blue and come back at noon, and it would be thawed and we could heat it up and have it for lunch. This particular meal is turkey and gravy. So here's the turkey on this side, and here is a big blob of gravy right here. And the gravy freezes beautifully. And so with this meal, I might have a side vegetable, a side salad, but my main protein is right here in this bag, and we can freeze it, and we can thaw it and heat it up. So this is also very convenient. This is, I have one more of these. This is left over from Thanksgiving. And we had our whole family over here, but we cooked a 26-pound turkey. So of course there were leftovers. My whole family is only, these days, about 8 people. And so there was plenty left over for me to do these meal packs with. Then here is, I'm going to take this one out so that you can see another way that I do it. This is lemon chicken. And this was done this year in February. So here is, this is butternut squash as a side. And here is the lemon chicken with the lemons right here. It gets all frosty when I get it out of the fridge.
Out of the freezer.
Out of the freezer, yes. And then here is the flavored rice. And so this is a complete meal that I've put in one bag. I think we had 2 of these after I made the big batch. I had 2 to freeze. And this is the last one of these. Then another thing that I just started, Jim and I really like hot dogs. I know it's crazy, but we really like hot dogs. And it's one of the foods that we take camping with us. Well, what happens is you have to buy a whole package of wieners and you have to buy a whole package of buns. And now they got a little bit smarter and they're making packages of wieners with 8 to match the 8 buns, and I've appreciated that. And they're also making wieners that are longer and fit a bun. And so that's what we have right here. This is my packet to just take camping with hot dogs. The alternative is that we buy a package of hot dogs and buns, and we'll use 2 or 3 if Jim is extra hungry. And then they sit in the refrigerator for a while, and sometimes they don't last, and I end up throwing them away. So I thought, that is crazy. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to make up these meal packs. So here's a couple of the long wieners that fit the buns, and sauerkraut. I love sauerkraut. Jim doesn't like it so much, but I love it on my hot dogs, and so I have enough sauerkraut for me for my hot dogs. And this is so great to have on hand. Now there is no waste when we buy hot dogs and buns. And then You may remember when we demonstrated pizza on the Cobb grill. Well, I used that experience to make up a little pizza pack. You know, there used to be, when I was a teenager back in the 60s, I graduated from high school in 62, so right in the 60s, they came out with, pizza was just kind of on the scene for the first time that a lot of people were taking notice, and it was very, very popular. And they started making boxed pizza mixes. So you could buy a little box about like this, and it had a plastic packet of the dough that you had to add water and mixed up, and a little can of pizza sauce. And then you would provide the ingredients. And so that was my first experience with making pizza, and I'd invite a boyfriend over and we would make up a batch of that pizza and just have a great time watching some kind of a television program. But here's what I have. This is the pizza dough. Now it is small because it goes on the cob. And I would take this out, it's still not quite big enough, and I have a rolling pin in my trailer, and I would roll it out a little bit more. This is the mozzarella cheese. This is the sauce, and the frozen sauce works just great. This is the protein pack with some pepperoni and some sausage, and then this is the veggie pack. And so this is just very, very nice. So most of the time with our trailer, we do full hookups. We stay in campgrounds with full hookups. We don't go so much anymore to do dry camping in the wilderness where we're the only ones out there. We just no longer feel safe doing that, especially in the area in which we live. And so we usually do full hookups in nicer campgrounds, which allows us opportunity to be able to plug things in when we need to. Now, Cindy in her trailer has a KitchenAid mixer where she mixed us up a fantastic batch of biscuits. I'm not sure she used her KitchenAid for that, maybe she did. But she wants to be able to make bread and make things from scratch. You will not find a KitchenAid in my trailer, and that is one of the differences. You know, we're sisters, we do a lot of things alike, but there are some things that we do very differently. I would take a mix and then mix it by hand if I wanted to make bread. I could, same thing with pancakes or with waffles. And actually, we took waffles last time, but they were some of our homemade frozen waffles, and I just popped them in the toaster. And Cindy and John take a waffle iron. And so that's, you know, we need to feed our own joy. We need to do exactly what makes us the happiest. And for me, it's not having all of those extra appliances around and to be quick, efficient, and easy with meals. Cindy adores cooking and loves to make things from scratch. And so she's feeding her joy with the things that she carries in her trailer. I got 2 new appliances for my trailer this time around for this season, and you've seen actually one of them. It is a little tiny KitchenAid food processor that has turned out to be very, very handy in our trailer. And then the other thing that we just bought this time and used for the very first time was a smaller air fryer, because I love cooking with an air fryer, especially at camp. It's such a time saver. So here you have some ideas for meal packs. I hope this piques your creativity and that it will feed right into the things that you can do with meals that you and your family love to fix meal packets to make camping easier. Anything to make life easier when we're camping is great with me. So we're still here for couple more, well, a little bit more time before we go on our next trip. So it's giving me time to practice on some things, and I'll share those things with you as we go. So thanks so much for being with us, and we will see you soon out there on the trail.